Thanks for being here. Ed Schultz, News and Commentary. I want to talk today about RT, about Russian television. Apparently, this is really gaining momentum on Capitol Hill. People are starting to understand the influence that RT has, not only in America, but around the world. Now, I want to go back a few years, and those of you who have followed my work over the years, you know that I started a national radio show back in 2004. And I was independent of the effort of Air America. I was on my own. And we reached 100 radio stations in a climate of conservative ownership. People said we couldn't make it, couldn't make money, couldn't be effective, this, that, and the other. I don't know. We took the House in 2006 when liberal talk radio in America was on over 100 stations. So you be the judge. Barack Obama was on my radio show quite often. And after the election of 2012, Mitt Romney in Bain Capital got his buddies to drop all the liberal talk radio that was carried on a lot of those progressive talk radio stations across America. And so the evolution of liberal talk radio in America has been, over the last 15 years, basically, there was the rise, there was the stability, there was the profit center, and then there was the fall. And many of you liberals out there across America are rather pissed off the fact that you can't turn on your local radio station and get something other than Limbaugh, Hannity, and whoever else is screaming this right-wing stuff. So I've been in that war, and I've seen it, and I had an element of an element of success that has given me a pretty good life. Was on MSNBC, now on RT, and now I'm the target of the Facebook haters out there because I've, quote, sold out to what? No one tells me what to say on this production at WeGotEd.com. I write all of the political news on my newscast at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday on RT America. And now this network has been propped up by some in the intelligence community as being some kind of a threat. I would think that liberals would come to our defense after what happened with progressive talk radio in America. Some progressive talkers, my friend Tom Hartman is still out there banging away. I don't know what Stephanie Miller does. It's more entertainment than it is any kind of real policy wonky or serious political conversation. But now with Trump going in, it would probably be pretty good to have some liberals on the air across America. But this intrigue with RT I find more than interesting. I have, through my work of liberal talk radio in America on 11 years on the air nationally, I've got a lot of friends in the House and in the Senate. Many of them have retired, no doubt, but I still have enough connections on Capitol Hill, and I will tell you, it's not easy to get any of them to go on RT because of the toxic climate that is now being presented by people that don't have the facts in this wretched up political climate between Russia and the United States. And of course, the Trump election is in the middle of all of this. Look at it. Here's how, first of all, how many of you watch RT? We have 850 million people who subscribe to our YouTube channel. BBC doesn't have that, neither does CNN. We are a world power when it comes to news. We are state-owned, but we're not state-operated. If we were state-operated, I would be having people from Moscow saying, hey, you have to say this about Trump. You have to say this about Clinton. You have to say this about health care. You have to say this about taxes. I don't get it. I don't get any of that at all. And I want you to know that. And I take offense when people say, well, you sold out. Do you want me to work for free? Do you want me to just quit? I happen to enjoy what I do. I'm one of the lucky Americans that has been in a career for almost 40 years, and I still like doing it. And this job affords me the opportunity to do exactly what I love to do. Now, when I ask you if you watch RT, you can get us on numerous cable stations across the country. We're on Dish and Direct as well. And the network is clearly growing. It's an international independent news operation. It's funded by the Russian Federation. It also has advertising. Why don't you advertise with us? We'd love to have you. Our mission is to tell both sides of the story. We're the only network that had a debate with third-party candidates. That ended up in an intelligence report by Mr. Clapper claiming that RT is a threat and we're out there putting propaganda. So if you're a third-party advocate, you know what? You're just all part of the propaganda scheme that the, quote, establishment thinks. The other thing is, I have to ask you a question. Did you know that there is RT Arabic? Did you know that there's RT Spanish? Did you know that there's RT America, which I'm on? There's RT London. There's RT International, which comes out of Moscow. And a lot of this hasn't been explained. There's 24 hours of complete information and variety shows and information shows and news packages on Russian television. 8 hours comes out of Moscow, 8 hours comes out of London, 8 hours comes out of Washington. We have bureaus in New York, Washington, Miami, and Los Angeles. We have correspondents who are Americans, who are graduates of some of the finest universities in America, that are journalists that go out and get both sides of the story. And so now we are this hot topic on Capitol Hill. And we're, I guess, to the intelligence community of America, we're a real problem because we're pushing propaganda, which is total bullshit. And just as Mr. Brennan takes offense of some of the comments that Donald Trump has made, I take offense at some of the people who think that we're propaganda, because we simply are not. And we have not been given a fair shake in the mainstream media because we report both sides of the story. And sometimes both sides of the story is not very popular. During an interview on Fox News, Representative Ed Royce of California, who chairs the House Foreign Relations Committee, had this to say.
One of the difficulties, Bill, is that, for example, in the past, for example, during Ronald Reagan, we had Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and I was in Eastern Germany on an exchange program. I saw the effectiveness of those broadcasts. Today, you only have Putin broadcasting with RT television and with other types of media into Eastern Europe and around the world. You do not have an effective counter to that into Russia, in which we give people the truth about Putin or facts about what's really going on. We don't have a surrogate free radio or social media effectively countering Putin today. That would give us leverage. What's missing is leverage.
Every guest that I have ever had on the News with Ed Schultz that plays at 8 o'clock across America and 11 o'clock internationally has never complained that I have cut their mic, told them what to say, or manufactured any kind of non-truth. They've all gone away satisfied customers. So once again, we're going to have to reach out to Mr. Ed Royce, who's a Republican from California, who thinks that we are propaganda and is complaining that the United States doesn't have the footprint that Russian television has on a global scale. Mr. Royce, all you have to do is answer the phone, come over to RT, and you can actually talk to the Russian people if you've got something to say. If you want to rip Vladimir Putin a new asshole, I'll give you the vehicle to do it. If you really think that that is where you should go and what you believe in, we're not going to edit the tape. That's the beauty of what we do. Are we state funded? Yes, we are. But wait a minute. I see, Mr. Royce, you're a Republican. You're the one who said many times with all your Republican friends that it's the free market that has to run the media, that the only thing people want to listen to is conservative talk radio, that diversified voices doesn't play across America because it's just the free market working. Are you now advocating that you think that the United States of America should have USA Moscow, USA London, USA New York, and a state-funded or supported news channel that is independent? I mean, I bet you'd probably have a lot of people that would apply for that. And so you can't have it both ways. The fact of the matter is that in the intelligence briefing and also on any testimony on Capitol Hill, I want you, the consumer, to know that no one has presented a visual or any type of copy, any type of script that has shown that RT was propaganda. These are the facts. This is what they reported. They haven't done that because they can't. And now they're bitching about the fact that, well, RT's all over the world. Well, okay, get competitive. You're the guys that wanted to do this free market stuff. He goes on to say this about the difficulties of getting along with Russia.
Well, one of the things I'd like to see is better relations with Russia, but to do it, you've got to be dealing with Russia for a position of strength. And I think...
Okay, ho. Think about that. What better way to deal with Russia than to talk to the Russian people? If all of the folks who were concerned about relations between the two countries would access RT America and do interviews and understand that you're not going to get edited, that you're not going to get cut off, and you can actually talk to the Russian people, who knows? Maybe you'd win over some hearts and minds of some people. So their premise is totally flawed. Their perception is completely outrageous. And I think they're afraid. I really do. And I just take offense to some of the garbage that is thrown out about the work the professional people at our network do. And no one's handing us a script. No one's telling us exactly what we have to say. And I just want you to know that. And so now what you can do is go onto my Facebook page and really rip me a new one. Just take me apart, call me a traitor, this, that, and the other. But you know what? You're going to get both sides of the story with me. You know that RT is the only network that never carried Trump live, unfettered, for an hour. We never did it. We covered Trump in our newscast. We covered Hillary Clinton in our newscast. We asked them repeatedly to come on the network. They didn't want to do it because they would have gotten too much shit from all the mainstream corporate media in America. But the fact is, if you want to talk about propaganda, go carry a speech for an hour. Are you going to tell me all of it's news? I don't think so. And so what's the end result? You have Donald Trump calling CNN fake news. How appropriate. Stay with us. Richard Viguerie, the godfather of the conservative movement, joins us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. We're right back.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns.
It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor.
They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up.
And the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania, to the auto factories of Michigan, to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Good to have you back with us. Richard Viguerie, godfather of the conservative movement and chairman of conservativehq.com, joins us as we head into inauguration weekend. Mr. Viguerie, always a pleasure. Good to have you on.
Good to be with you, Ed.
Well, you got those Democrats just reeling. You got some 50 plus now saying that they're not going to go to the inauguration. This, of course, is a result of the spat, the back and forth between the president-elect and also Congressman Lewis, the civil rights icon. Look, I think both of them made mistakes and they had inaccurate statements on both sides. But the fact of the matter is there's a political reaction to this. And I think the question begs, is this going to be a pattern by the Democrats? What do you expect the opposition to do in trying to restructure their movement? What's your call on that?
Ed, I think as Reagan might say, you ain't seen nothing yet. All they're reacting to, basically is some nominees and rhetoric and all that. When the legislation starts passing and signed by the president, and a change in the direction of the country, the left is going to go ballistic. And what we're seeing now is small potatoes to what's on the horizon. So, I'm very encouraged. I've been with hundreds of liberals in the last month or so, and with rare exception, Ed, they have no idea why they lost the election. I can see them in front of me, as you can, moving left with Keith Ellison, with Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer. They're going to go right off the planet. They have no idea why America is really unhappy with them. And so anyway, I'm encouraged, but there's a new day in town, and this idea of bypassing the media, which Trump does with tweets and all that, that's going to be, a way of life going forward, not only with Trump, but we'll see lots of other politicians imitating him.
Mr. Viguerie, what is your viewpoint, the conservative viewpoint, on why the Democrats have lost so many state houses, so many legislative seats across the country, the House, the Senate? A critical view from the opposition. What is it?
I think that they miscalculated. They really felt that they could appeal to special interest groups, whether it was the minorities, the homosexual lobby, the Muslim community, the academics, the young people, millennials, all that, and they stopped being a national party. They became a party of special interest, and all of those interest groups to appeal to, they moved left, and they left America behind them. We know all about the flyover country. And there's a feeling that the ruling class, quite frankly, has contempt for the middle America. And I think the Democrats are going to lose at least one more election, 2018, and probably 2020, before they get the message. They've moved so far left, they're off the planet.
Well, the big debate within the, I guess you could say, collection of political ideas on the left is just, what do? Do they stay establishment Democrat, corporate Democrat? Do they go with more of a progressive view with Bernie Sanders? Many people think that if Bernie Sanders has gotten the nomination, that he would have defeated Donald Trump, that there's no way that those white working men would have left the Democrats in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And that's really, as I see it, where the election was won. They just did not believe that the Democrats were delivering, and Trump was working on all these trade agreements. And we could rehash all of this, but moving forward on this, I think Democrats and liberals are concerned about how far the right is going to be able to go when it comes to taxes, education, health care, privatization, and of course, what we've always talked about was the Supreme Court. We'll leave that off to the side for a moment. But this is, you have to admit, somewhat of a rare opportunity to have such a stronghold in the House, enough votes in the Senate, and maybe enough conservative Democrats who will tip over that the president may be handed some sweeping legislation that could change the country. I mean, that's how I view it right now. And the Democrats may be forced into a position of total obstruction, as what Obama saw, to have a chance to breathe at a later date. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, for the most part, I agree with what you said, Ed. I don't see, as I said earlier, the left hasn't seen anything yet. Just, some nominees and rhetoric here. But legislation is coming, and court decisions are coming where we're going to undo the vast majority of what the Democrats have done, not just in the last 8 years of Obama's administration, but what they've been able to achieve for 20, 30 years. We're going to go back and undo so many regulations that are burdening our economy, and when that happens, we're going to see an explosion of jobs and growth, and businesses are seeing it. Walmart is seeing it. General Motors is seeing it. These companies are seeing it. They're investing in our country rather than moving overseas. Going back to the earlier question you asked about, how is it that the Democrats see America? Remember Hillary's comment about deplorables. In other words, she says, 25% of Americans are deplorable. If we're a 50-50 country, half of Trump's supporters are deplorable. That resonates with people. And so the Democrats have got to become a national party. They've lost that. They've become a party of special interest groups.
Speaking of Clinton, what's your take on the Clinton Global Initiative basically going out of business and folding? We're going to carry this story tonight on RT. They're ending operations of the CGI, and the main reason is they can't raise money.
Well, it proves, it just absolutely proves, you could probably use it as evidence in a court of law, that the whole operation was set up to buy influence. Since there's no more influence out there, the donors are fleeing. So it was a money laundering operation to buy influence. And once the influence has totally gone out the door, the donors are not responding. So now it's clear to everybody it was a money laundering operation to buy influence. And since neither Bill or Hillary can provide any influence, the donors are not going to throw money down, a rat hole there.
Mr. Viguerie, great to have you with us. I appreciate the conversation always. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Ed. Thank you.
You bet. Godfather of the conservative movement, chairman of conservativehq.com. Interesting comment by Senator John McCain of Arizona in a Fox News interview talking about Rex Tillerson.
I have not. I had another conversation with him yesterday where I think he explained better to me his relationship with Vladimir Putin. Because I just... When I see what Vladimir Putin has done in the way of literally committing war crimes intentionally, I point out again, precision weapons used in Aleppo to strike hospitals and kill innocent men, women, and children, that's just an example. Then I question the recipient of a friendship award with Vladimir Putin. You see my point?
I think he got the friendship award before the alleged incident Mr. McCain is talking about. Fact is that people on Capitol Hill are trying to figure out how they can get back into the good graces of Donald Trump without totally offending him, and McCain's one of them. He wants to say yes to Rex Tillerson. He just wants a few headlines before he does it. Ed Schultz, News and Commentary. Good to have you with us. We're back tomorrow.